Hey guys, welcome back to Scream Queen Stream. By now you already know me. I'm Jessica Cameron and I do this little channel called Scream Queen Stream. This is part 2 of my interview with the very talented, very Canadian writer, producer, director, Raynor Shima. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you so very much. If you haven't seen part 1, link down below and let's get into it. Well, we'll call it character work.
Yeah, character. Yeah, he was a method actor. He was sleeping in it, so, right?
I love that. And so you mentioned like you found a year intensive. I learned something new today. I didn't realize there was such a thing. Mm-hmm. In Canada, if you guys aren't familiar, typically a university degree is a 4-year degree. And then a trade often is a college degree, which is a 2-year. Mm-hmm. And the difference is often, not always, but a lot of the time, a university degree, by Canadian standards, you have to take other courses that are not directly related to your field of study. Yeah. So even though I went to school for fashion design, I had to take psychology, I had to take business, I had to take marketing. Obviously, I love that, so it wasn't a big deal for me. Versus if I were to do the fashion design degree at a trade school, a 2-year college program, it would have just been like fashion design classes pretty much exclusively. So I didn't realize there was a 1-year. How does a 1-year compare to the 2- and 4-year programs? I mean, obviously broad strokes, we're not do like a comparison to like university to university.
It's funny, you know, the 1-year intensive they claim to say is basically like 2 years worth of schooling in one year. So, but it was literally like 6 days a week.
Oh, I have no doubt.
Like 6 days a week, you know, 9 to 6, pretty much like every day. And then even after that, if you were still dedicated, you'd still be doing, you know, questionnaires or homework or, you know, building shot lists or whatever you were kind of doing. So they had it in 3 quarters. Was it 3 quarters or 4? Every 3 months it was a quarter. Yeah. So 4. So basically it was, yeah, you did 3 months of like your basically beginning of like, you know, learning basically the basics of everything. And then you got into your second quarter. It was basically, you can start honing in on what you wanted to do. So you could pick like 3. It was like directing, producing, or cinematography. And they had like production design as well. And then, you can start focusing on those a little more, and then they start becoming more and more honed. I think I'm saying that right. And by like the third,
focused.
Yeah, focused. Sorry.
Honed works the same too, but in case you don't know what that means, like
focused. Yeah, yeah. They're basically just focusing more and more on the departments you want to be in. By like the 3rd and 4th, you're basically choosing 2, which you want to focus on. So I took directing and producing, and then like you just really hammer down on those two you know, departments, and you're basically doing all paperworks and watching videos, and you're doing like, you know, workshops with directing and producing. That's what I was doing, and it was basically just every day, just, you know, breaking down budgets. Oh my God, I had to learn how to break down budgets with movie magic.
But by the way, everybody should know how to do that. I love that you're like forced to do that, because I find that's a huge problem with working with people in Hollywood, because there's a shocking amount of people that don't understand how to do that. And they'll like pick a number in their head. They'll be like, here's a script. We need $375,000. And it's like, did you read the same script? Because you have like a $500,000 car crash scene, which, don't get me wrong, we can rewrite around that, but like.
Yeah, it was one of the biggest things, like, you know, obviously like for, you know, people that were interested in producing, it was something like I'll delve into more instead of the directing aspect. But it was, you know, looking at, you know, budgets and outside budgets of basically seeing how they got that. And then you basically, I think one of our biggest things that we had to do was take a feature script and try to break it down basically in every single element of the script and calculate, you know, your costs, your days of shooting, you know, makeup effects, special effects, blood. I chose a horror script. Yeah, there's just so many elements within, you know, breaking down budgets that, you know, you want to be as close as you can. They're never going to be 100% on, right?
But that's why you should have like a 10% buffer.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Contingency also, yeah. Right? But like, yeah, so it's really kind of giving you a real world knowledge and testament to before you actually get into the real world. But like, you know, for the 1 year intensive, it a huge amount of work. Our class was like kind of divided in terms of like being such an intensive program that, you know, I think we found it was like 50% really tried and 50% didn't try because they weren't really taking it seriously.
Right.
Yeah. So like, and that's one of the biggest things I can say. Like if you're looking into film school, either it's 1 year intensive, 2, 3, 4, you know, really focus on it.
Well, I think if you're doing any school, that really pissed me off in fashion design too. The number of people that just basically somebody that usually their family, their parents were like, you have to go to school, and they're like, fine, but like not committed to it. I was like, you really should have just leveled with them and be like, look, I'm going to half-ass this. I'm not going to get anything out of it. I'm going to show up 50% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really want to spend this money? Because again, there's no way these parents realized how much class they were missing. I think I missed one class only because I was really sick, because I knew to the dollar how much each class hour cost me.
Exactly.
Because I was working to pay for it, and I was like, even though I worked full time, which is hard. Because also, a little known fact about Canadian education, and I'm sure it's the same over on your neck of the woods. I went to school in Ontario. In Ontario, it's required for a university degree that they give 2 hours of homework, not including tests and exams, for every 1 hour of class.
What?
Yeah, and we actually had 30 to 45% more hours of class than the comparable university in America. So
wow.
America was typically 9 to 11 hours of classes. We had 19.
Oof.
And that was just for a normal sized workload. I was like, also fun little facts, when you do university in Canada, you're paying for 80 to 120%. So you pay a flat fee, and if you take 80, you're still paying that price if you're paying 120. So at one point I was like, I'm going to maximize the dollars and try to take 120, and nearly died with like the full-time work. And I was like, no, can't do this.
Yeah, right.
I will literally go insane. But yeah, so it's like so much more intensive than like our American counterparts often. But you said it wasn't quite 2 hours work, but I guess
no, it was whatever they had given, you know, prior to the end of the class. It was, you know, tests or, you know, reviewing a book or, you know, watching a movie or, and, you know, breaking them down at home kind of thing. But like some people just wouldn't come back like, no, I never did it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like, well.
Oh, the number of people that did it too. Oh, it used to piss me off.
You're just like, oh my God, like you're paying, you know, even a 1 year program was quite expensive. And I think it's gone up significantly already, right? So it was just like, you know, you don't want to waste your time. And, you know, I'm working with another director as well. And it's funny because, you know, Gigi went to school as well. We went to rival film schools. But this other director I'm working with.
Wait, you work with other directors? I'm confused.
Okay, Kara. I do. He's, I'm just bringing it in.
There is the only one!
He's self-taught. Self-taught.
Oh my God, I love that.
So, and it's funny, like, you know, so I have, you know, Gigi, who we all went to, you know, our rival film schools, and then my other director, basically, who is self-taught, and he was just like, one day I just picked up a camera and I started filming, and I love it. And then, but like, he watched movies before, and then he started researching, and he started, you know, breaking down movies and see what he liked, and like, what movies he liked that he felt he could have a voice to create his own shorts with. And yeah, he's super talented, right? And you know, and again, going back to, you know, how you feel fit, if that's the way you want to go, then, you know, really think into it. And I think biggest is finding if that film school is the right fit for you.
Agreed.
And again, and if you are mentally prepared for it and physically prepared,
and financially prepared.
And financially prepared.
I love that you
well.
saved money and then decided to focus on that for a year. I think that's such a powerful way to do it, and also like so smart of you to understand your strengths and weaknesses, to be like, nope, this is worth it, here's what I'm going to do to make that happen. Love that. I'm a big fan of like knowing who you are before you spend tens of thousands of dollars.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because like, you know, if I was to do it back when I was 19, and I don't know, would I have that same mentality? I could have been the guy that just didn't really care, and maybe I wouldn't be filmmaking after more. But like, as I let myself kind of age over time and you know, do a lot of other things and you know, have a good job and, you know, do some traveling, I felt like I was, you know, well matured enough that I can like, okay, I can take this responsibility on and really dig into it, and, you know, really kind of take that leap of faith in filmmaking and really go for it. And, you know, here we are, what, 9 years later now. So it's, you know, slowly, surely, we're all moving on up. And it's always great to see, you know, people, even if they're not just doing things in film, but they're also doing stuff, whether it's on YouTube or Twitch or, you know, I guess Vine's gone and stuff like that. But people taking you know, film and media stuff in a whole different direction. That's the great thing about filmmaking. It's blown up, you know?
Completely.
It's crazy.
You can now buy a 4K camera for $400.
Exactly. You know, you couldn't get that 8 years ago. We were on Canon 60Ds. You know, shooting 1080p. Now everybody's, you know, got 4K, well, iPhones now. You know, you can make anything. And it's the crazy thing about it is that you don't need all the necessary film equipment to make something anymore. And I really seeing this kind of growth in young talent as well, really kind of getting out there and pushing themselves to come up with unique ideas. We've seen some cool stuff. Yeah.
So what was the very first narrative film project you worked on? Obviously, I know that you did commercial before that. If you guys are not familiar, in my opinion, and we could also discuss this as well, commercial and narrative are two very different processes. They're actually very different environments.
Oh, yeah.
And like the sets just feel night and day different.
Because I got to be there for like 1 or 2 days, right? And not like 16 days. People are like, by the end, like, oh my God, I want to get out of here.
Yeah. And they're usually so like much better paid. Like commercials are usually much better paid.
If you want,
so people are like happy to be there.
You want a quick cash grab. Yeah, it's a quick turnaround gig, but it's super fun. Sorry, what was the question?
Do you remember your first narrative?
Oh, my
project?
first narrative?
And was it something you did in film school? And can we find a link to it so I can link it?
Oh my God. No, actually, so the first project I ever made was called The Sandwich, and it was like
The Sandwich?
It was like about an obsessive compulsive disorder man who basically has a problem with cleaning his hands, and he tries to make this sandwich, but every time he's, you know, building his sandwich, he's always like getting some like dirty stuff on there, and he's like always constantly trying to clean it, and he finally ends up running out of rubber gloves, and then he goes like searching, and he finds like 2 pairs of condoms, and he slaps them on, and he finally builds it, but I guess the condoms were so slippery, and it actually was by like fluke chance. He was actually holding them in his hand, and the condoms ripped, but like it like exploded the sandwich, and that was like my final shot. So we screened it at the film school, but and I was trying to get it online. My hard drive went kaput, and I lost it all. I couldn't recover it.
You didn't have a backup?
Couldn't recover it, and that's one thing. Yeah, always back up your stuff.
Always back. I do too, because I've had so many hard drive issues. Because there's never a guarantee. I also had with my first film 2 weeks before a big screening. My first editor, side note, had cut it on Final Cut 10. Final Cut 10 just came out. I didn't know anything. I didn't know that it was a shit program at the time. Or like, it's no longer shit when it first came out. It's intended for YouTube videos. A $300 editing program intended for people who don't understand editing programs to be able to use a professional like. Now it is.
Pretty,
at the time. So
oh yeah.
It did this fun thing where it did a forced update. And it unlinked all of the files and triplicated them and renamed them in a numeric code unrelated to anything. Yeah.
Oh, God.
So I had no movie. I had a premiere.
Oh, no.
I had just hundreds of files, and we did it like for 2 weeks, and we had to recut, re-edit, resound, like everything had to be redone because everything was unlinked, and it was just and there was nothing like basically Final Cut 10 when we got them on the phone, and they're like, you edited a feature film on this? You're not supposed to do that. We're like, it's done. What do we do now? And they're like, good luck. Like,
oh my God. That's the worst thing they could ever say is like, yeah, I don't think you should.
But I only had a backup then, but like ironically, we had the backups plugged in because there was some of the VFX wasn't on wasn't backed up, so we had to plug all we had all 4 hard drives in. So it did this to all 4 hard drives, and I didn't have like a safety set of masters, which I do now, where I was like, never gonna happen again.
That's so crazy. Oh my God.
Worst moment of my life. So backups, you've had your situation.
Yeah, backups. But besides that one, we actually, so going near the end of film school, we were actually I was actually helping a final project at our school, and lo and behold, somebody came on our set to be an actor on it, and that was Gigi.
She submitted to a rival film school project.
She was desperate for a role or something, I think.
I'm gonna kill you, Raynor.
I can't remember which one that was.
Yeah, Pirouette.
Pirouette.
I got asked to be in it. Thank you very much.
Anyway, so I met Gigi on our set, and she was like, "Who are you?" And I was like, "I'm Raynor."
Okay, I need to go to the show. Oh no! So Raynor was all tanned, okay, all like clean shaven, and I was like, "Okay, who's this Latino?" And then he's like, "Oh, I'm half Japanese." I'm like, even more interesting. So that's how it went. I thought he was Latino. Dreams crushed. Bye.
So yeah, ever since then I've been stuck with Gigi.
And that's why he's losing hair.
Yeah, that too. I haven't seen her in like 6 months, so it's come back. It's a good sign. No, but so Gigi had said, I asked her like, well, what are you doing? She's like, oh, I go to Capilano. I was like, boo. And then she had told me that her and her partner, which is Luke, basically were creating this horror web series, kind of choose your own adventure thing that they were trying to get off for their final project, and it was called Choose Your Victim. I was like, oh, that's really cool. And they're basically like, our final project is coming up like a month later or something like that. And I said, oh, okay, cool. Like, I'm like, I love horror. Like, nobody in Vancouver Film School did horror. So
it was kind of like the black sheep of the film world, right? It's
always been the black sheep. But it's funny, everybody was doing like comedy, drama, and like very like depressing like art house films. I don't know. Nobody would do horror. Or some people tried to do some action stuff. But like, yeah, nobody really focused on horror. No, that wasn't their thing. So like, I was like, even at one point I was thinking about doing a horror when I was in school, but like, no, but it was so hard to convince people to do it, right? Mm-hmm. So Gigi was like, yeah, we don't have many people helping us on our final project. And I was like, oh, well, I don't mind helping. Like I did set design and stuff like that. So I was pretty hands-on with all that stuff. So she was like, okay, well, we'll talk to my partner and we'll see if we can get you on, right? And then I was like a week after, she said, yeah, can you come help us? We need help building the set. And I was like, sure. So it was like literally like 3 of us from Vancouver Film School went to Capilano, and it was just like 3 Vancouver film students like helping Gigi and Luke get their project going. They had some of their other crew, but Gigi had to lie to the school and say, what did you say?
That you guys were first years.
Yeah, we were first years in Capilano, and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, no problem. They didn't even like bother to ask, right? So it was like, we were like considered the first rival film students to like work together, and I think we kind of spawned some people working together from there. I don't know, we haven't really followed it too much, but I think like the couple years after that we actually did see some people from Vancouver Film School, BOSA, Capilano working together, which was really cool.
That's awesome.
Right? It doesn't really matter what school you go to, you're all there to do the same thing, you're all there to tell a story, you're all, whatever it may be that you're trying to do, it's also to support each other, right? This is not a industry that, it should be a one-man band. And
well, you can't be. There's no such, you really can't be in this industry.
No.
It takes a village.
Yeah.
It's like worse than raising a child.
Pretty much, yeah. It is like raising like 1 million childs than anything, right?
And then killing them all. You kill your babies when you make a movie. Yeah. You're like, pick and choose your battles.
Exactly. So, yeah, no. And then basically we shot this film, Choose Your Victim, right after they finished their project. We did a Kickstarter campaign after they graduated. So in the summertime, we were like, okay, how are we going to do this? We got to get 8 episodes. We need $10,000. So that was like the first time that we ever dwelled into Kickstarter, and we're trying to finance this project. I think we ended up raising, like $1,800, because like we were nobody, we had nothing. I had a friend that could build us a website that could be interactive with the series. And I think we started in September. We carefully planned it out. And yeah, we came out with 8 episodes after 4 months. And we were just all working and putting our money to it. We didn't raise any money. We raised enough to shoot the first pilot episode. And then we were like, okay, how are we going to do this? We got to do this every other week. We got to shoot something and release it. How are we going to do this? And how are we going to do this with crew? And you know what? That was an amazing kind of experience. That our team believed in us so much that we kept going and going with it. And yeah, no, basically, so when we got together with Choose Your Victim, it was trying to do something with Kickstarter, raise money. We wanted $10,000. We did this campaign for like 2 months. We only raised like $1,800. I'm like, okay, well, we got to go with this. We actually had some support from Capilano at the very beginning to do the first episode, and then after that, it was like kind of in our hands, and that's when things got really crazy, when we realized that we didn't have enough money to make all 8 episodes, and we're like, okay, well, we can make the first one. Let's get it out and let's see how it does, and open this website that people could go to vote who died and how. And basically we we went with it, and we just worked our asses off every week. We were working, and then we were just putting our money in from every time. Every 2 weeks came in, we were getting paychecks and just throwing some money into the next episode. And people got into it, right? It wasn't, we weren't expecting a huge hit or anything like that, and it wasn't really a huge hit. But I think at the end of it, it took us literally 4 months to shoot all 8 episodes and interact with the people that actually were, involved with it. I think there may be like a total of like 300 people at that time that throughout the whole course of it. But we were determined to do it. And I think when you watch our content then, you can see through each episode we grow as filmmakers and how we budgeted ourselves with like nothing. Like literally each episode was like $300 to $400. And it was all about finding locations for free, the right setting that we can shoot it in, pulling favors, having a crew that would come back. We literally had the same crew come back for 4 months every other weekend to shoot the project. And we did like I think we did 1 or 2 days each. I think we most tried to do it all in one day, but we sometimes did 2 days. But it was just an amazing thing to see us progress as we kind of started off together in this wonderful endeavor of growing as Gigi as a director, Luke as a cinematographer, and myself as like a producer on just really like working with, finding the next thing and really trying to running a show, even though it was super small scale. It really taught us how to be efficient and how to edit really fast and how to sound design and how to, just do the whole thing super quick with a minimal crew, minimal budget, and, still getting that product out in time. And you can actually see that online.
We love that.
It's actually called Choose Your Victim, and it's on Luchagore Productions.
I will link it down below as well.
Yes, we'll link that down below. And you can watch all 8 episodes in its glory, and you can definitely, when I talk about how you can see the progression from the first episode all the way to the episode 8, you can see this really kind of weird shift in how we operate. And I look back at that, and I thank that a lot. Like I really, I don't know if we would be here today if we didn't do that. Hey, Gigi? I really don't. Like it really taught us a lot, and that was just outside of film school. But all the stuff that we learned in film school, we definitely did utilize to our advantage. Like I said, going back on being ready to do it, being determined, being motivated, and not giving up. I think that's one of the big things. Not procrastinating, right?
I often say, like, just do something. One of the things that I often hear from people that are either in the industry, like starting out or wanting to get in the industry, is they're like, well, the script isn't perfect. It's just not right. It's just do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Because also, like, the other thing is your first 10 films, I think every filmmaker is going to look back on and be like, I could have done a billion things better and different. But you have to grow and you only do that by growing, regardless of your educational background.
Yeah.
Like every time I'm on set, I learn something new. I'm sure you're the same way.
Yeah,
I know for a fact that Gigi is. And like every time you're like, okay, you're putting more tools in your arsenal for future use. But like you can't get there unless you just freaking get her done.
Yeah.
So write that idea down. Don't just keep it in your head. Send the script out. Get feedback. Rewrite it 12 times, 24 times, 80 times, whatever. And then figure out how you're going to make it.
Yeah.
And don't be precious because like no decent filmmaker only ever has one idea. So you're going to have a million ideas. So figure out one that you can actually either raise funding for or figure out, like you said, like we'll put a couple $100. We're just going to get her done.
Yeah.
Do it. You're going to learn so much through the process.
Oh, God.
And you're going to, here's the thing, like I said, if you're a filmmaker, you're going to have a lot more ideas. It's not like this is like the only idea you're ever going to have. And if you don't make it with $1 million budget, you're never going to like do anything else.
No, exactly. If your script, is like, I need to make this for this X amount of money, and you're, not well known enough, or you don't have the connections. If you have somebody with deep pockets that's willing to give you the money, that's great. But majority of the time, you should always look at your budgets and build them around what you think you can make them for. And if you can finance it yourself, that's even better. But always, it's always great to think big. I think, of course, like it's don't think so big that if you try to go make it, it doesn't look good. It just you have to know your limits and when you can do it. And if you have the right people that can help you push it forward a little bit more, I think that's great. But it's crazy. It's one of those things that each project you do is so different from the other, right? Unless you're doing like a continuing series, but usually you can find a formula within that. But if it's a different short film or a different story, it's don't be married to your script. It's always going to change. Just what Jessica said.
It is, especially if you don't have money. If money can solve problems to maintain whatever you want, but if you don't have money to solve a problem, you're gonna have to get creative.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Filmmaking is problem solving most of the time because something goes wrong. Like, oh, we don't have enough time to get this scene or this shot, or you're changing the script drastically right on the day, and you're like, oh my god, this is not going to happen, and it will happen. It doesn't always happen, but eventually in your time, if you continue it enough, you will face times where you're going to have to cut stuff out or cut dialogue out, or you're going to rewrite something on the fly because it's not working, or something happened with the location. Oh my god, there's so many variables when it comes to
I've had
things going wrong, but things can go well too, though, right? It can be like bam, 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 like we're getting stuff. Finish early on the day, 8 hours instead of 12 hours.
Hey guys, thank you so very much for joining us. This concludes the first part of the interview with Raynor. Thank you so very much for joining us. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much, Jessica. It's been a pleasure to be here. And yeah, again, thank you so much for watching this stream. Oh my god, I fucking said stream.
It's kind of a stream.
No.
It's called the Streaming Stream.
BFF sucks.
Oh my god. Do you want to keep going?
Sure. What? We can take it over.
Okay.
Okay. Now, where can the people go find out more information, aside from waiting for part 4 to drop?
So you can find me on Facebook at Raynor Shima, on Instagram at Rain Motion, on Twitter at Raynor Shima as well. And then for our company, Luchagore Productions, on Facebook as Luchagore, Instagram, and Twitter, Luchagore Film.
Stay bloody. Oh, and don't forget, we have a Patreon and all that other crap about a Scream Queen stream. Whatever.
Oh, damn, I forgot my own line.
I got my own stuff. It's fine. There'll be all these links below.
I know, right?